All righty. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. We are going to learn a lot about Teamzy. I'm just so thankful that you could all be with us. And I want to introduce to you our trainer tonight, Jalissa. You'll have to say your last name, but anyway, it's so pretty. I don't want to botch it. She is the Director of Customer Experience and one of Teamzy's product development managers. And she has worked to develop, maintain, and refine business systems and tools for nearly 10 years. So Eric and Jay and the team have worked together for about 8 years. And prior to starting Teamzy, they worked together to create CRM systems for the real estate industry. And so this is what Jay says about her job. She said, the best part of my job is that I get to not only engage and help our users become pros with our system, but I also get to help refine the Teamzy system to be sure it evolves with the needs of our awesome users. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us, Jalissa. We are really looking forward to learning from you. So take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute everyone's lines just, to limit that background noise like we were saying. Go ahead and feel free to jot down any questions you might have as I'm presenting. We're going to go over a few different things, okay? But I promise I'm going to carve out some time toward the end to go over any of those questions. So let me do that quickly. We are recording, so just in case any of your team members or peers were saying that they wanted to join us but they're not able to, not to worry, we're going to go ahead and get a recording together. So, like Chris mentioned so eloquently, my name is Jalissa Lisa Swain. It's a bit of a doozy, so I usually go by Jay. It's a little easier to remember. Feel free to call me either. I will answer to either. So, my gig here at Teamzy, I wear a few different hats, okay? I just like you to kind of know where I'm coming from. I have been working with the team to develop Teamzy since its creation. We built systems like this, CRM systems for other industries, and then one of us got involved in a network and realized that there weren't systems like this that we sort of designed, kind of with our philosophy in mind. So we got to work, and that's kind of our background. Since then, I've realized that my favorite part is getting to engage with the users. The beauty of online systems is that they solve a problem. The only way for a company to know what works and what doesn't work is through engagement. So I get to do this fun part. And I love to talk. So the guys like to put it on me. So I want to go over a few different things tonight. I'm going to jump right in, okay? Feel free to grab a pen and paper just to jot down a few of the tips that I might have for you, a couple of gems here and there, okay? I don't promise too much. But what I want to start with is actually the philosophy that Teamzy's built on, okay? So we're going to go over a few different slides. I'm going to chat with you about some principles, okay? Some things, maybe some food for thought, okay? To keep in mind as you're building your business. Some of you might be really thinking about planning for the first time, taking that step from a hobby to a real business, pardon me. So I'm going to kind of start by talking about the philosophy in mind as we built every part of the system so that you can know the why behind the what that you're doing. We're going to start by talking philosophy. Then we're going to jump right into Teamzy. So for those of you that are maybe hearing about Teamzy for the first time tonight and you're thinking, I've heard CRMs before, I've seen them, I've used them, stick around. You're in the right place, okay? I'm going to give you a really great high-level view of all of the different sort of game changers in our system and how you can implement it on a day-to-day to make it work well for you. So we're going to start by talking, how do I set up a system like Teamzy? Then how do I really use that system on a day-to-day if I was going to sit down and really plug in and get to work? So we're going to talk about your power hour using Teamzy. And then last but not least, I want to talk follow-ups, okay? Because we all know the fortune is in the follow-up. We all get to connect with tons of people. If you're in this business, I imagine you're kind of a people person, right? We have a fun little saying here at Teamzy, if you're a jerk, it just won't work, right? You've got to like interacting with people. You've got to like to make contact, and you're going to hear me say that a lot tonight. So we're going to talk about a few different things. Like I said, it might feel like you're sipping from a fire hose. There's going to be a recording, and just feel free to grab the bits that are for you. What do you want to implement tomorrow? My biggest tip, okay, before I jump in, is that you should get a free 30-day trial. There's no credit card necessary. You get to just really implement the system for 30 days and find out if it works for you. I know you're all a little different, but just come along with us and take a look, okay? So we're gonna start by chatting philosophy of Teamzy. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So what is relationship marketing? Relationship marketing is the philosophy that we use to build Teamzy around. Relationship marketing is basically a lead generation system, or a system that initiates inquiry or interest into the products and services that you offer systematically, okay? So relationship marketing is actually a system, a lead generation system that initiates inquiry or interest into the products and services that you offer, okay? This is gonna take me to principle number 1. You are in the lead generation business, okay? I know many of you are thinking, no, I'm in the transformative products business. I'm in the health and wellness business. I am a life coach. You are in the lead generation business. And the moment that you decide to commit to this idea is the day that you change your business. Because generating new leads is what you have to focus on to grow your business. You can definitely sustain. Many of you have, built really beautiful businesses just on word of mouth, referral, and that's really great. But if you want to grow and grow sustainably, you have to generate new leads. So a lead generation system is necessary. Next principle, developing and deepening relationships is your paramount duty as a business owner, which is exactly what you are. The moment that you decide that this is no longer a hobby and you are going to pursue this as a business, you have put on that business owner hat. And if that's the case, your paramount duty is to deepen and develop relationships. Because when you do that, you turn relationships into advocates, okay? Advocates are what we want. You want to have 5 advocates versus 50 lukewarm people, because advocates get out in the marketplace and they send you tons of word of mouth, right? They sing your praises from the mountaintops. This is the person that you want to guide you on this journey. And these are the elements that separate you from every other distributor that's out in the market today. So you have to turn relationships into advocates. The only way to do that is to invest real time and provide outstanding service. But Jay, how do I do that for 500 people? How do I do that even for 50 people? Next principle, relationship marketing depends on trust. Relationship marketing depends on trust. On this, I'm gonna leave this one up and I'm gonna take a sip. Okay, so relationship marketing depends on trust. Trust is what makes the work fun, okay? The difference between our system and every other is that we are relational versus transactional, okay? And at the heart of any relationship is gonna be trust. Trust is gonna make the work fun. You're not gonna have to convince anybody. Does anybody hate that feeling of being like the cheesy salesman? Like, let me tell you what I've got for you. Nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants that in today's day and age. So you have to layer in trust in order to build or deepen your relationships, which is going to be that cornerstone of really generating new leads over time. So trust is also going to remove the ickiness. Like I said, nobody wants to be perceived as that sleazy salesman, and it's going to let you go for yes. We've all heard about the go for no mentality. It's not something that I've heard a ton of in this community, which I kind of love, and I think that makes me align with you all that much more. But going for yes means building a relationship, creating an environment where people want to interact with you so that they can say yes, right? Sometimes people they put up every sign that just makes you want to say no, and that's what you want to avoid. Teamzy is going to be helping you to focus on building trust, deepening relationships so that you can have a real foundation to grow from. So if we're going for yes, how do I do that? How do I build trust? There are 4 essential ingredients to building trust. There are many ingredients. So many people have different, thoughts on this matter. But if I would say that the top 4 things that you need to have to deepen any relationship, doesn't matter, whether it's a courtship to, just someone that you met on the subway platform, you need to have 4 elements. 1 is chemistry. 2 is going to be character. 3, competence. 4, consistency. Pardon me. we're going to go ahead and just kind of, I'm going to skim the surface on all 4 of them, okay? Because all of this is basically setting the stage for why we built Teamzy the way we did. So up first, chemistry. So chemistry is an easy one, right? We all basically understand this. Chemistry is that spark, right? It's the thing that makes you want to learn more about someone. It's the part of the interaction that makes you think, oh yeah, you know, we've got something in common. It's common ground. It's something that you can relate to and build on. So the first element of building trust with someone is establishing chemistry. 2, character. This is a fun one. Character is all too often one that I hear people mistake with like a possession, right? My character, my character. In actuality, character is something that is only something that can be demonstrated, right? Like otherwise you're just talking about it. Character is something that people have to see. So it's when you demonstrate how much you care and that you are relatable. So if you're trying to establish chemistry with lots of people, right? Whether it be through social media attention grabbing campaigns or whatever the case is, if you want to create chemistry, which is going to be something relatable, you have to demonstrate that you are relatable, right? So the second element of building trust is going to be character and how you demonstrate that character or how much you care about someone. So number 3, competence. Competence is a fun one. So competence is when you demonstrate that you are good at what you do and that you are a business person. So there's 2 parts of competence, right? That you're good at what you do, so that you are proficient in your products, that you understand interactions and, you know, everything that's going on in the organic world and GMO versus non-GMO and all of the different things that come up in questions. And when people are truly deciding whether they want to make this step over to changing their lives, you know? So competency is when you demonstrate that you are good at what you do. So being a real expert, diving in and really saturating yourself in what you do and what your company does. And then that you are a business person. Being a business person is only partially the expert, right? The other part is being well balanced in being approachable, being dependable. So competence is when you demonstrate that you are that dependable business person who's also very much the expert in their field. So step 3 of building trust is showing them that you are competent or demonstrating your competence. That's going to take me to our next principle. People only really care about 3 things, okay? This is sort of, I imagine, oversimplifying this, okay? Some might say. But really, if you were just going to be honest for a minute, 3 things. Can I trust you? Do you care about me? Not like the world and people in general. Like, do you care about me? And are you good at what you do? How many of us have stopped and really sized someone up with those 3 questions? So when it comes to building your business, building trust, deepening relationships, you have to consider these 3 questions. Have I demonstrated that they can trust me? Have I demonstrated that I care about them? And have I showed them that I'm good at what I do? Am I leading with the right feet, whether it be on social media or face-to-face and belly-to-belly? Am I taking the opportunity to tell people that I'm so incredibly over the moon about these products and how transformative they are and how passionate I am about this business and what it can do? Am I actually taking the opportunity to showcase all of that? Because if I'm not deepening my relationships with people and I'm not building real trust. So first 3, chemistry, character, competence, okay? They ultimately answer those 3 questions. Can I trust you? Do you care about me? And are you good at what you do? Number 4, consistency. It gets its own slide. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So consistency is something that we all understand. Most of us would say, I wish I could be more consistent at. Or, you know, I'm really consistent with this thing or that. Consistency is what creates dependability. It's what creates reliability. Everything that people come to that warm and fuzzy, I feel safe place, right? Which lends to trust. So consistency is something that we have to demonstrate with everyone that we work with, whether it be when you're interacting with them, just reaching out and checking in, or checking in on their progress with products and making sure that they're staying committed to their plans and whatever the case is. So that takes me to the next principle. People respect consistency and they desire it for themselves. This is beautiful because in demonstrating consistency to build relationships with people, you are also almost putting out a feeler for other people who want that type of consistency, who want to create a real structure for their lives that lets them feel successful and fulfilled. So when you demonstrate your character, your competence, your consistency to people, are you inadvertently building trust and looking for the right people, recruiting, finding people out in the marketplace that might say, I could do that. Hey, you know, I could do that in my life. That could change my life. People respect consistency and desire it for themselves. So the four elements of building trust that I just talked about, again, skim the surface of what Dr. Robert Cialdini dives into in Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. It's a really good read, okay? So any of you who are in boot camp, who are considering, I know you guys have a really great reading list from Eric and Mike, but this is a good read. I love it because this is a world of influence, right? I meet people every single day who build businesses from nothing overnight, sheerly in social media influence, right? And so much of that has to do with some of the layers that we're talking about, building consistency, kind of demonstrating to people competency and that you care about them and what's going on in their lives. So if you want to dive in deeper, this book is a really great read. Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. All right, so we talked about consistency. I talked about some of the other elements of building trust. I'm just going to put this one out there. Are you consistent with your relationships? So many of us can say, I'm consistent with working out. I'm consistent with taking my Juice Plus. I'm consistent with drinking my water, whatever the case is, with posting to social media. Sometimes that one's easier than others. But are you as consistent with your relationships, with checking in with people, taking the opportunity to deepen and find out more so that you can create real solutions to problems? Are you that consistent? Food for thought. Next principle, people won't believe you until they see you, okay? People won't believe you until they see you. It's too easy, to post to social media every once in a while that, check out how awesome conference was. And then people don't see you for 4 or 5 months. Don't know what's going on in your life, don't know the incredible things that are going on in your team. So how would they ever know that you're the right person to guide them on this journey? People won't believe you until they see you. Remember those 3 questions, okay? Can I trust you? Do you care about me? And are you good at what you do? So people won't believe you until they see you. Consider how often you are going through that, the intentional steps to demonstrate that you care, to demonstrate that you have things that you're relatable to or that you relate with other people about. So people won't believe you until they see you. Relationship building is a contact sport. I think I may have started all of this, okay, by saying that it's about lead generation, getting in there and really finding a way to introduce new people to the products and services that you offer every day. The only way to do that is by actually making contact. It's by engaging with people. It's by intentionally starting conversations and seeing where they'll go, okay? So you have to be in regular contact with people, but we get it, time is scarce, and that is the beauty of having a system, okay? That's the beauty of it being a lead generation system, and that takes me to Teamzy. So I gave you guys a few different things to think about, okay? I'm gonna switch over to Teamzy, and then we will take a look at the system. We'll go through a little bit of setup first, and then we'll switch over to kind of day-to-day practices. And like I said, keep your pen and paper handy. I will swing over to a Q&A session afterward. Okay, so I've got Teamzy pulled up now. Talked about a few different things, that Teamzy is a lead generation system, okay? It is ultimately a tool that is designed to help you generate leads consistently over time without losing sight of the people that you already serve. So many of us have that fear of letting people fall through the cracks, or did I reach out enough? I didn't reach out enough. I should reach out, I shouldn't reach out more. How much more time should I give to my business? We've all had these thoughts, right? Like that bizarre guilt that comes along with this excitement to get after your business, to change your own life. It's normal because there's a little bit of system that lacks, when you get involved with a business like this. And that is what lends to the beautiful flexibility of the schedule and the fact that you can grow. There's no ceiling, there's no, but you have to have a system if you want to reproduce yourself, because there's a team aspect of this. So Teamzy is going to help you layer in a system without you having to reinvent the wheel, without you having to create your own spreadsheets and then to, have your own, or, whatever it is, whether it be Post-it notes or like file folders, the whole 9 yards. It's okay to say that that's the way you've done business, but if you want to do it differently and systematically, Teamzy is a really great bet. So how does that all take shape, right? How do I build consistent relationships? How do I get all of my contacts into one place? How do I get organized? Let's do it together. So when you get set up in Teamzy, the first thing that we want you to do is actually to set up an income goal. So Teamzy is what I like to call goals to results driven, okay? So a lot of systems are the other way around, right? Where you might set up a goal somewhere that doesn't really interact or have any bearing on your contacts or the real plan that you have for yourself or how much you want to work. But Teamzy does it the other way around. We want it to start with your goal. Where do you want to go? And we're going to help you create a plan or a pathway to get there. So first things first, how much money do you want to make over the next 12 months? If you usually calculate your goals on a monthly basis, no worries. Just go ahead and pop in an annual number here. So let's say that you wanted to make $100,000, $90,000. You can just use the little slide to indicate how much you'd like your income to be. And then Teamzy is actually calculating, based on those changes, how many connections or highly productive activities, okay, that you need to do every day in order to stay on track with that income goal. So your very first swing in Teamzy is to create a plan. So when we get into the system, we can start our plan by setting our income goal. I'd like to make $105,000 over the next 12 months. Teamzy lets me know, okay, based on a $105,000 goal, you need to connect with at least 6 prospects, 4 customers, and 3 distributors on your team. For some of you, you might be thinking, oh, you know what, I do that in my sleep. I can do that without really trying. You can always up your goal or make adjustments to your goal depending on the current size of your team. Some others might be thinking, I'm brand new to the business. I don't necessarily have distributors yet. That's okay. You can actually redistribute here so that you do more prospect connections, but staying on track with the goal that Teamzy gave you. So those are some things to keep in mind, that right here, Teamzy is just basically taking its initial swing at breaking down your goals. So if I want to make 105,000, I'm going to go ahead and hit continue here. Oops. And then Teamzy is going to move me through to the next step in the setup process. So I've set my income goal, and now Teamzy wants me to import my contacts. Now I know many of you might be thinking, oh boy, the scary part, right? Because it's Excel spreadsheets and I've got files everywhere. And did I mention the Post-it notes? Not to worry. We understand that this is going to be a process. You're basically creating a master list from all of the many scattered locations you might be connecting with people, right? You might have a Facebook list, you might have LinkedIn, you might be connecting with people through text message. It's okay. Your first step is to bring everyone into Teamzy. We've got different instructions for no matter what the location might be. And those are all in our help center. And then you've actually got the top 3 right here on this page. So go ahead and grab your pen and paper if you've got it handy. I want to give you a couple of tips just here for the import stage. When you're importing contacts to Teamzy, we recommend that you start with your existing customers and distributors. So from your virtual office, and we've actually got the instructions and the video right here on this page. So it'll take you through it if you want that way, or you've got like a step-by-step outline. So I recommend that you start with existing customers and team members. For any of you that might be managing customers for other representatives, or if you have PSP participants, things like that, you can definitely bring in multiple lists. There's no limit there. So customers and team members first. And then I want you to consider cell phone contacts, okay? So are you an Android or an iPhone user? Do you want to leverage your address book that's on your cell phone? You can do that. We have the instructions in our help center, and I'll show you where the actual help center is once we get in Teamzy. But once you get your customers and team members in there, go ahead and consider if you want to bring in your cell phone contacts. After cell phone contacts, consider if you'd like to do email services. So are you a Gmail user, Outlook, 365, Yahoo, whatever the case is, that also has an address book. If you'd like to bring that in, I recommend that you bring that in third. Okay, so we're starting with virtual office contacts, then we're going cell phone, and then we're going to bring in our email services. After those three are in the system, then go ahead and import any of your like custom spreadsheets. If you have, like I've seen the most elaborate spreadsheets that have like color coding and special rankings. If you have been compiling information on your contacts, definitely bring that into the system. You want to leverage that. So you can bring those in. Once all of that information is in the system, then you want to import your LinkedIn connections. If you connect with people through LinkedIn, it can be a really great source for connecting. So if you'd like to bring in LinkedIn connections, go ahead and bring those in. Then last but certainly not least, okay, will be your Facebook friends. The reason that I recommend Facebook last is because Facebook has to contend with a lot of privacy policy concerns lately. So essentially you get a list of first and last names. It's still useful because you know who you should connect with, even if that is through Facebook, but it's gonna let you pull that information in. I would bring it in last. Okay, so I'm gonna go over that list one more time. We're gonna start with the virtual office contacts. Then we're gonna bring in cell phone contacts, then email services, then your own personal, any other spreadsheet that you might have, LinkedIn connections, and then last but not least, Facebook. So that's the order that I recommend that you import the contacts. That will help you capture as much good data as possible. Something to keep in mind is that Teamzy does have a duplicate filter. So as you're bringing in lists from lots of different locations, Sally Smith might be on all three lists. That's okay. Teamzy will recognize the duplication and it will only bring the person in the one time, okay? So when you're ready to import your file, it's gonna be this simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose a file here. Once your file's been accepted, the system will go ahead and give you the option to categorize that list. So because let's say that was a group of distributors, I could now come over to the member type area here and I can say, okay, this is a list of distributors, and then I'll hit continue here. I'm just going to ignore this page. This is basically putting all of the information in the correct place. So the first name is going to be in the first name column, last name in the last name. Now the system is going to go ahead and import those contacts, and now I can launch my Teamzy. So now that I have set my income goal and I've imported contacts, I've done the real meat of setup, right? Now I can actually see how the system works, and I can just settle in a little bit. So a couple of tips for what you should do as you're still setting up would be, now you need to rank and qualify your contacts. So once you're in your Teamzy, on the left-hand side, if you click on Team, this will basically give you a full list of all of the contacts that you brought into the system. So actually, I'm going to add some more contacts. Bear with me, guys, just 1 second. Okay, so right back on that team page, this is going to be, like I said, your entire list of contacts. So whether you manually add them or if you import them the way that we just did, you're going to be able to access them on the team page. From here, I can see only customers if I'd like. I can click on customers on the left-hand side. I can click on distributors, and that will basically sort my list so that I can go back and forth. Once I have my contacts in the system, pardon me, my next step is going to be to rank or qualify. So just because you brought everybody into the system doesn't necessarily mean you know who to contact next, right? The system calculated that I need to connect with 6 prospects, but I have like 600. Where do I start? This is the beauty, this is one of the beautiful parts of Teamzy, would be the opportunity for you to prioritize all of your contacts so that you know who to connect with and when. The best way to do that would be, so right above the list of names here, if we click on the small question mark, this will bring up our ranking breakdown, okay? The ranking is basically going to have you assign either a 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1-star rank to each contact. So you're going to go through and say, you know what, this person is this person's a rock star, either lead or customer or distributor, and I want to connect with them every 30 days like clockwork. So that's really the takeaway here. When I assign a rank, I'm telling Teamzy how often I want to be reminded to reach out to this person. So I am the one who's creating my action list, but Teamzy is going to keep it really clean for me, okay? So your first step after you import contacts will be to rank those contacts. A 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1-star rank. 5 stars are coming up every 30 days like clockwork. 4 stars every 60 days. Your 3 stars will come up every 90 days, and your 2 stars will come up every 120 days. The 1-star group, it's a nice holding tank, okay? For those that either you're thinking, I don't need to be reminded to reach out to them, or it's not a good time, you can put them in the 1-star group, and then they don't come up in your daily follow-ups to kind of like muddy the waters of what you're working on. So that's what you want to keep in mind when you're ranking. The easiest way to actually rank would be right above the list of names here. The 3-dot option will let you access rank mode. Rank mode is going to display everyone's active rank at the time, and it lets you just pop through the list and make changes. We know that when you get started, especially once you import a few lists, you might have 500 names, 1,000 names. Do not feel like you have to rank everyone at once, okay? You can take your time and work your way through that list. Teamzy is going to assign a 3-star rank to everyone automatically. It's kind of a safety net, just in case it takes you some time, pardon me, to get through that list. Teamzy is going to start to queue everyone up for follow-up. Nobody just goes off into no man's land, okay? So if you're ready to rank, go ahead and enable rank mode. From here, I can go down this list and say, oh, you know what, actually Keith is a 5-star, Laura's a 5-star. I recommend just cherry pick the 4 and 5 stars in the beginning. Everyone else is in that safety zone, and you can adjust over time. The lower the rank, the less frequent they're going to come up on the dashboard. If you'd like to delete someone outright, to the right of their ranking, for example, if I wanted to delete Arthur, I could click on this small little trash can, and that will delete him from my database altogether. If you ever accidentally delete someone, there is a restore option so that you can bring them right back. Now, as you're going through and you're ranking everyone, you also want to make sure that they're on the right list. So are they actually a customer? Are they a distributor? So right above the list of names, you can click on type mode, and this will display everyone's category. And you can say, oh, you know what, actually Laura is a distributor, and Ali is a prospect, and Hope is a prospect. The system will do an automatic save of every change that you're making. So the setup portion we know is going to be a little bit of, importing, a little bit of ranking here and there, adding information. Everything that you're doing, okay, you're kind of cleaning up your master list so that when you are ready to sit down and focus on that power hour, you really can. So in addition to first and last name, and if they are a prospect or a 5-star, you have information like if, what's their physical address, what's their phone number, what's their birthday, what's their child's name. If we use Jill as the example, over on the right-hand side here, in the contacts profile, you'll notice that you have an email field, you have a phone number, a physical address. Like I said, you can track birthdays, spouses' names, children's names. Really the key to deepening relationships like I was talking about and really, figuring out how to help people is to know what's going on with them, what's going on in their lives, and then tailoring your service around that. I'm just going to take a sip of water. If you want to do that with 10 people at most, then you can probably do it in your head. But if you want to grow beyond that, if you're someone who's not, if you don't have a photographic memory, having a system like this that you can lean into is really going to be helpful, because when you get them on the phone, you can say happy birthday just at one glance, or you can check on Charles and Lily, who are turning 6 and 12. These are all things that help you create a tailor-made service for someone so that they feel like they are that, A++ star client, which is what we want. So the profiles are really robust. So if you want to add information, you can just, okay, her birthday is the 5th. And then you can go in and you can add any other information. It's going to do an automatic save as you make changes. In addition to the details for any contact, you also have a notes section. And what's really great about the file that you're pulling from your virtual office is that your customer information will include things like the product description, and it will also have their ARO. So all of that will come in once you do that import process. So those are some things to keep in mind when you're getting set up. Have I imported the contacts that I'd like to have in Teamzy? Have I ranked them appropriately? And have I put them all in the right category? Once you've done that, once you've got everybody on the right list and you've taken a real swing at the ranking, then you can really dive in with Teamzy. To do that, we're going to head over to the dashboard. So there will be a setup wizard. So if it's your first time in Teamzy and you're just taking a look around, you'll notice that there is basically a step-by-step guide. Everything that we just went over together will be outlined for you right on the dashboard so that you know that you've done everything correctly. If any of this seems like I could use a little more help, not to worry, you have a personal point of contact here in the office. I've got lots of reps that are happy to help. We take people through the setup process kind of soup to nuts every day, okay? So, like I said, once you've finished that setup portion, you've got everyone in the system that you want to work with for now, that's when you're going to be working from the dashboard. This setup little bar will disappear over time once you've finished setup. We started everything in Teamzy by setting an income goal, okay? The purpose of that income goal was to calculate how many highly productive activities I should do every day. So what should I do, right? That's the point, is that so many of us sit down at our computer and we're thinking, where do I start, right? I could clean my desk off a little more. Really, you want to be able to sit down during your power hour and get the most out of every minute. How can I be making a call when I need to be making a call? Who should I be sending a message to? And really, Teamzy is going to take the guesswork out of that in this portion. So your dashboard's your virtual accountability partner. When you're ready to log in and get started with your power hour, to find out what you're doing, you come to your dashboard under today's activities. The top circles are going to tell you what you're doing in each category. So the very first circle is going to let me know how many connections I need to do with my prospects. The customer circle is going to let me know how many, the number underneath the word customer will let me know how many I have left to complete for customers. The distributor will let me know how many distributors I need to connect with. And then I will also have a goal for invites and ads. And we're going to talk about those in a minute. So when I, pardon me, when I log in for the day and I'm ready to connect with my prospects, I would basically scroll down my list or scroll down my page on the dashboard to find out who I'm going to connect with. So now that I know what I'm doing, to find out who I'm going to do that with, I scroll down to the power hour. So if the system is telling me that I have 6 prospects I need to connect with, the system will list for me the next 6 people based on the ranking or the priority that I've set. So the people that I said are rock stars are going to come up first, and then the 4 stars, and then so on. So you basically make this list every day. Teamzy just populates it for you. If I was ready to log in and I wanted to send Allie a quick connection, or I'm ready to do my power hour, I would basically reach out to the first name on the list. On the right, you'll notice that Teamzy has created a little connect box for you. So what you can do is quickly track what you're connecting about. I can say, you know what, I'm going to send Allie a Facebook message. I can put the details in here. And then once I hit log connect, this is going to send a message to my dashboard that I've connected with one of those prospects. So it's completely interactive in the sense that I know what I'm doing and with who, all on that same page. So let's say that Hope is the next person that I'm going to reach out to. A couple of different features to keep in mind right here from the dashboard. So much of reaching out to people and starting the conversation is knowing what to say, right? If you're thinking, how much time have I spent like just sort of reinventing the wheel on how to say, hi, how are you? It's kind of like people don't know that you may have sent, you know, a similar message to someone else on your Facebook friends list. So really, this is where you want to start to get systematic and implement tools that will help to really kind of keep your time really efficient and effective. So if we were working, if Hope comes up for follow-up, but I'm thinking, I don't really know what to say, do not reinvent the wheel. In that moment, go ahead and access your script option or your dialogues in Teamzy. So right in Hope's little connect box, do you see here how we've got scripts? We'll click right on the little light bulb icon, and this is going to bring up the different types of scripts that we have. So let's say I want to just send Hope a quick Facebook message. I can click on Facebook, and it's actually going to bring up all of the different pre-written scripts that we have available for you in your Teamzy. So these already exist. And what's cool about this is you can actually add to it. So I know some of you have been in this business a long time. You know what's tried and true, okay? So in that case, if you've got awesome scripts or dialogues that work for you that you want to bless your team with, let them know that they can save some of these scripts right in their Teamzy. And again, it removes yet another element of that guesswork, right? Now I know what I'm doing, I know who I'm doing it with, and I actually know what to say. You guys running out of excuses? Stick with me. Okay, so once we've got our script and we know what we want to use, one thing to keep in mind is that Teamzy does not currently send any social media or text messages directly, okay? Know that our engineers are constantly on the hunt for a way to make that possible, but for now, most of our users do a quick copy and paste to or from Facebook. So let's say that I did want to use one of those scripts. Hi Jane, just stopping by to say hello, how are you? I hope your day is awesome. It's a great way to start the conversation, and then I would take it from there. So I'm just going to go over to Facebook. Let's say that I'll use, let's use Eric Johnson. Many of you know Eric. Eric is the creator and founder of Teamzy. I like to call him AKA Boss Man. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to send Eric a quick message. I could come over, I usually search for the person. A lot of times you're working with your script, with the people that you chat with most on Facebook, but you can just click message. It'll let you paste the message. I usually do a quick, you might change the name, you might add a little personal touch or something, and then you can hit send. You come back over to Teamzy, and now you're basically just gonna tell Teamzy what you just did on Facebook. A lot of times I copy and paste exactly the message I sent to the person so that I know exactly what we said last. I know promises that I've made. If I told them I would follow up on a specific date, I know myself. This is, again, the beauty of Teamzy. So let's say that you're tracking that connection with someone. You're going to be able to go ahead and log that connection. And now in that person's record, you're going to have a history of everything that you're doing with them, time and date stamped, all in one place. So even if you send them a Facebook message today, and then a text tomorrow, and then an email the day after that, if you're doing a good job of tracking your progress, which is instrumental, you are going to have that accurate history record for each person, okay? So that's gonna be kind of working through, let's say that's gonna be all of our prospects. If I had connected with all of my prospects, I would move on to the customer category. I have a separate list for my customers that I need to focus on. It's going to arrange these people by priority as well. So I know which customers to focus on first. Again, same process. I can come in here and say, oh, you know what? I am chatting with Keith. I can just put in any information, the details of our conversation. But you know what? In our conversation, I invite Keith to join me for an upcoming event, or to join me for to try a new product, whatever the case is. Anything like that that's sort of a call to take action, that's going to count as an invite. And that's actually a separate goal, because we know that those calls to take action get you that much closer to your actual income goal. So let's say that I was chatting with Keith by Facebook message and I invite him to my upcoming event. I would, like normal, I would track this as a connection. Let's say that we're chatting. We can go ahead about event. You can put in any details that you'd like. At the very bottom of the box, you'll notice that you have an invite option. This is going to be where you can track what type of a call to take action it was. Because when you're building your relationships, it doesn't all happen overnight, right? It's not that it goes from, hey, how are you, to, okay, what products would you like? You ultimately have to really set the building blocks. And sometimes that is having a one-on-one conversation to learn more about someone. Sometimes it's taking the opportunity to have them interact with your community at events, whether it be online or physical. Sometimes it's the three-way phone call. Sometimes it's, sharing a video about progress and things like that. So to track that progress of those building blocks, you're going to track them as invites. So let's say that I invited Keith to an event. Teamzy is going to automatically remind me to follow up 2 days later. So I don't even have to forget it. Like I didn't even have a chance to forget it in that moment. Teamzy was like, oh wait, hold on. Would you like to check in 2 days from now? You don't have to accept the recommendation. The beauty of Teamzy is that you can actually customize your follow-ups as well, okay? So Teamzy is gonna set your every 30 days, your every 60 days, your every 90 days, but you may wanna check in tomorrow or next Friday or next Saturday. You can set your own. So let's say that in chatting with Keith, I wanna check in next Wednesday to see if he's coming to the event. I can go ahead right here in the follow-up line and I can tell Teamzy, you know what, I wanna follow up next Wednesday or the Wednesday after that. I have now set all of the history for Keith, so all of the information about this interaction, so whether we connected and if it was an invite, and then I also set up when I will follow up next. So he's not just gonna go off into no man's land. I don't have to add it to my Post-it notes or my physical calendar. All of it's gonna live right in Teamzy. So that kind of takes me to finishing up the conversation about follow-ups. So we talked about how you would work through the dashboard, right? Simply connecting with the contacts that Teamzy recommends based on the priority everyone has in the system. But in addition to that, you may have some extra follow-ups that you have to do here and there. It could be that you check in with your rockstar customers every couple of weeks, or brand new distributors that you're onboarding to your team. You may want to check in with weekly. In that case, go ahead and set your own custom follow-ups. So let's say that I am working with Allison again. Pardon me. If I'm looking at Allison here in the full profile, where I have her phone number, her email address, all of that information, I can actually come to her follow-up area and I can tell Teamzy, okay, I'm actually gonna follow up with Allison in 4 days, or I'm gonna follow up with Allison on the 11th. So I can customize my own follow-up list, but then Teamzy has that overall system that's operating in the background to make sure that no one falls through the cracks. So we talked about how you can manage all of your contacts in Teamzy. How do you get everybody in the system? How do you set up your goals so that Teamzy creates a plan for you every day? And then how do you start to work that plan from the dashboard? So that puts us at about, I would say this is the perfect time to open up the floor to specific questions that you guys might have. And then stick with me, okay? Anybody that sticks around even after the Q&A, I'm gonna touch on some other features, anything that you guys don't ask about. So I'll go ahead. I think this is a really great size group. Why don't we use the chat feature? That might keep things nice and civilized. So if you have any specific questions, please feel free to jump in the chat feature. It might even let you just double click on my name, like in the participants area, and then you can send a message that way. And then I'll just kind of answer them as they come in. As I see them, I'll wait and see if any come in. If they don't, I'm just gonna keep going, okay guys? And then if you have to, I'll put up my contact information in a few minutes. We'll cover a few more things and then I'll put that up for you. And there's no need to be shy, guys. So we've got a question from Lee, thank you. How do you back up Teamzy? Does it reside on your computer? So what's beautiful is that Teamzy is actually cloud-based. So that means it lives online. And so any changes that you make today from your computer, you can turn around and pick up your phone and all of those changes will be available on the phone. You don't have to download anything to the computer or the cell phone. You're just gonna log into the website like you would any other. Let's see. Hi, Lori. Lori is loving Teamzy, love it. So we've got a suggestion, which I love also. Remember, best part of my job is that I get to interact with you guys and then take the real feedback to the table. So she's got a suggestion about adding space for several phone numbers, like cell phone, home, business. Lori, I have awesome news for you. It is in the works. So the guys are putting the final touches on making some changes to some of those fields in the overall profile, and we'll send out an email anytime we make a change like that. Keep it coming. So Rusty's got a question about setting your income goal. If you already are making an income, but you want to add to that, do you set your income goal to the total or what you want to add? Awesome question, Rusty. So for those of you who are already like building, who already have these incredible businesses, right, where you're already on pace to make something, go ahead and deduct, or you want your income goal to be what you want to add on top of what you're already making, okay? So you want to just, if you've got the total in mind, go ahead and subtract what you're already making and then put that difference in your income goal. So that'll be what you focus on. Okay, let's see. So feel free to jump in there, ask any other questions, guys. Let's see here. So Chris is loving, I think she likes the follow-up option because follow-ups are key. She's finding it the hardest to get to. So in that, I usually recommend that when you log into your dashboard for the day, that you take a look there first. So with the follow-up feature, you're actually gonna have a little notification. So it's a little pink bubble that will populate right above the follow-up list that tells you, hey, you've got 4 to do today, or you've got 5 to do today. Sometimes taking a look there and almost time blocking appropriately, like deciding, should I do these check-ins first and then do my proactive? Sometimes that makes sure that it doesn't fall through the cracks. And then let's see, and we've been getting some feedback that people would like to get an external notification. As soon as we have a native app, which is something else that we're working on, you will have that option where it'll basically send you a little ding to your cell phone like, hey, you've got 3 follow-ups left, or you've got 4 follow-ups left. And that's something that we're working on. Let's see here. So Sharon wants to know, do I need to pay attention to how many 5 stars, how many 4 stars I set so that there aren't too many to get done in a month? So what you want to consider is that if you feel like you have too many of any given, like especially the 5-star and the 4-star, I would up your prospect number. Or if it's too many 5 or 4 customers, because a lot of times the 5 stars, those are the easy connections, right? Those are the no-brainers, the people that it's really fun to engage with, they like to hear from us. So go ahead and up that number. At that point, that's almost your database telling you something, right? Like you can go for more here. So consider if you want to do more connections so that you can get to more of those 5 and 4 stars. Let's see here. So Rusty wants to know, where do you record a person's response? So let's say that we started a conversation with Keith and he has since responded. So let's say I got the response from Keith by Facebook and I actually want to see that in Teamzy. What I recommend is that you update the original connection. So in this case, I'm going to click right on Keith's name. If you click on a name in the system, it takes you to their full profile, just kind of a quick tip. From the profile, I can click on what's known as Keith's activity feed here. The activity feed will let me see all of the history for that person. I would click on the original message, and then I can click on edit, and then I can basically copy and paste anything I'd like in there, or I can just jot down any additional information that came from that conversation. And that'll be the best way to update it without really throwing off your daily numbers, right? Because you don't want to track it as a separate connection each time. Okay, so I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. I'm just going to go over a couple of other features, things to keep in mind. So I had mentioned that you cannot currently send social media or text messages directly, but you can send individual emails. So if you're a Gmail subscriber, you can actually link your Gmail account to Teamzy, and it will let you send emails directly, which is great as, like, I know, email isn't the best way to get interaction with people on its own, but it's a great supplement. So as I'm chatting with people and I promise them, oh, I'm going to follow up with all of that information by email, or I'm going to send over the information for that event by email. Sometimes it's just one extra step, but Teamzy lets you do that right in the system. So let's say we're working with Myra. Over in the Contacts Connect area where I would indicate if I'm going to send a Facebook message or an email, I would come down to Send Email, and this will basically let me link my Teamzy account to Gmail. The steps are pretty straightforward. The system is just going to confirm what email address you want to be sending these messages from. And then moving forward, you can actually create your own email templates and save them. And then you can reuse them. So if you have a really awesome event email that kind of outlines all of the details and you want to send it to 5 or 6 people, or if you've got like a product email, something new that's coming out, or if you want to make sure that you update people with products that are coming out, you can actually create an email template and then reuse it as you move forward. So that'll be the email feature that's available in Teamzy, and that's actually going to live right in your script area. So you kind of save your email scripts, and then when you're ready to send an email, it'll just let you look through your full archive. So that's something to keep in mind. Something else, you can actually access Teamzy on the go from your cell phone, okay? So we do not have an app where you have to download the app to your phone just yet. We're working on that. But for now, we have a really great mobile site, okay? It looks and operates like an app, so it actually allows you to quickly pop into your dashboard, see the list of people that you need to connect with, and Zoom every so often will let me share that screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that a try. Let me see if I'm missing any questions coming in here. So Lee has the question, does the email integration only work for Gmail? Currently, it only works for Gmail. We are looking into other solutions like for Outlook and for Hotmail and things like that. But for now, it will be only Gmail. Just taking a look to see if I missed any. And if I did, please jump back in the chat and just let me know that I missed it. But I think that was everything that's up there. So accessing Teamzy on the go from your cell phone, you'll have access to everything from the mobile site. So like I said, once you've done the setup, you've imported contacts, you've added all of the information that you need, you can basically do everything from your phone. Looks and operates just like an app. You can actually save it to your home screen and it'll have a little icon that says Teamzy. It does not look like Zoom wants to cooperate right now with the mobile view. Some other things to keep in mind for tracking in Teamzy or for accountability in Teamzy, you have right on your dashboard, you have a dailies section. This dailies area is basically a personal accountability tool or a personal to-do list. It's basically going to be anything that you complete in addition to the connections that you do, to your customers, to your prospects, to your distributors. So if we clicked on, so let's say that you logged into your Teamzy and you've connected with everyone that you're supposed to connect with, you've done your invites. In addition to that, Teamzy wants you to focus on engaging with your social community. So that's going to be the social posts. Personal development will be, are you taking time to pour into your own cup, right? The only way to pour into others is if ours isn't empty. So you've got to be taking in really good content, whether it be podcasts or reading a good book like Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Dr. Robert Cialdini. But in any case, whatever you choose as your personal development, you can go ahead and check mark that off as you complete it. And then this ends up being your own to-do list. You can edit this to include your own items. So I see people adding drink water, check business page, add LinkedIn followers, just little things that maybe, you want to work on, things that you want to help build the habit in. That's what Teamzy is really here to help you do. So to add your own items, over to the right, you can click on the word edit, and that will let you add to your own to-do list on the dashboard. Just another one of those accountability features. Right along those lines, you have a team report. So for any of you who have success partners, whether it be through boot camp or just maybe on your team you've got success partners or success groups that maybe you've got challenges going, we built a really great accountability tool that allows you to track not only your own progress, but the progress of your team members. So on the left-hand side, if we click on team report, the team report here is actually going to display for you how many connections you've made, how many follow-ups, how many invites, what percentage of your goal you've completed, how many of your dailies, how many people you've added. So this is great because as a team, all too often we have these different challenges going on where it's like, who can connect with 100 people this week or whatever the case is. And this will actually let you track that progress. You can include as many team members as you'd like or success partners. Upper right of the report here, there's this little plus symbol. This will basically let you send your team members an email. Once they approve, you will see their information populate on your report and they can do the same for you. This report can be viewed by different date ranges. So if I wanted to go back and see how I did for the week, for the month, I can go ahead and switch the date range, upper left. And then what's great is that there are fun little emojis in here. So there's the little dancing gal, there's the flames. So it's cool, especially like I said, if you've got challenges going on and you don't want to have to do screenshots or anything, this is all in real time. So that will be your team report. And then last but not least is going to be the business page. The business page is great because it's going to let you actually keep an eye on the business metrics. So how much income have I earned toward that goal that I set for myself? So the very first circle here, if I have a goal of $100,000, every time I earn income, or you can do it monthly, you can do it every couple of weeks, you can actually track that right here in Teamzy by clicking the little plus symbol to the right of the word income. And this will basically let me say, okay, you know what, I made $500 between the 1st and the 15th. You can add it daily. You can add it, you know, here's what I've made year to date. This is going to be your side-by-side comparison so that you know how close or how far you are from meeting your overall income goals. The next couple of circles are tracking your total number of customers and your total number of distributors. So for those of you who are, you know, looking to level up or whatever the case is, if you need to have a certain number of distributors or a certain number of customers, you can actually set those goals and monitor them right in Teamzy so that you have your own like little dashboard, you know, so you know, okay, do I need to kick it into gear? How close am I? It's a nice way to really keep yourself on task. So that'll be the business stats page. And then you've got some reports that are going to fill in like your growth and activities. And then if you come down far enough on this page, you're actually going to have an itemized list of everything that you're doing in the system. So have I connected with anyone? Have I sold any products? What invites have I issued? This will be, you know, for those of you that are kind of transitioning from a paper and pen model, if you're thinking, I'd love to have a list I can check off, you do in fact still have that option right in the system. So that's going to be sort of your business page in a nutshell. I know I covered a lot of different things. Please feel free to stick with me, ask any other questions that you might have. Some great features or kind of tools to keep in mind would be your help center on the left-hand side. This is going to have all of our tutorial videos in one place. So I took you through importing contacts, setting income goals. If you want to take a swing at it yourself, all of these videos are kind of broken up into different topics. And they're progressive. So it takes you from importing through to working on the dashboard, ranking, setting follow-ups, and you can watch those on demand whenever it's convenient for you. So that'll be the Help Center, pardon me. And then you've got the university. The university, some of you are familiar with that are taking boot camp, but this is actually going to be a great resource for like business-based training. So how do I set the right goals? Where do I, when do I convert conversations? You know, when do I position the product for someone? So lots of different trainings, things that are free to you. And then there are some paid options in there as well. So if we head back over to the business page, so those would be like your learning tools on the left-hand side. And then that's going to be, and then if we head back over to your dashboard, that's going to take us right back to where we started. So I'm going to go ahead and check. I think I saw one other question pop in the chat. So Chris wants to know what are the options if she wanted to track like specific teams, or like if you had just a small group of people that you wanted to track in a larger team. So it's basically going to be by individual. So when you log into your team report, you're going to click on the little plus symbol and you're going to send each individual that you want on the report an invite, and then only those people will have access. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. So I think that's everything that I can see in the chat area. Feel free to jump in there and ask any other questions. I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information up on the screen as you go, just in case anyone has any questions. Please feel free to reach out. I know, some people feel like they're not tech savvy, so it can stop them from using a system like this. Please don't let that be a roadblock. We have a team that will literally do the entire setup for you and then just sort of set you on the right path so that you can really be successful with the system. Keep in mind that free 30-day trial is available for everyone. No credit card necessary. You're essentially just going to dive in and really see if it works for your type of business.
Jay, we so appreciate all that you have shared with us tonight. It's been fantastic. You went through it so well, and I just want to say I hope everybody will get on that trial if they're not already using it. And if you are using it, make sure you crush your goals every day, and just use that power hour. And Jay, could you just say a couple words about the power hour? Like, what is the best way to be sure to get through that power hour that Eric talks about?
Absolutely. So my biggest tip is to time block, especially if, working a power hour or sitting down to like work on your business as a business. If it's like new to you, if you're feeling like you've got to kind of build up the habit, time block your calendar. Actually put in a physical power hour. And what's interesting about a power hour is that you should be doing proactive reach outs for 1 hour's time. Okay. So I don't necessarily want you to figure in 20 minutes of that as response time, or, I got into a conversation. You want it to be 1 hour of proactive reach out. So you're going to say, for this hour, I'm going to work the plan as Teamzy has it outlined. And then I might add on 25 minutes, maybe an hour later, a couple of hours later in my schedule to do responses, to actually serve the people that have put their hands up and said, okay, now's the right time. I think that was really a game changer for me, was really getting, it helped me stay accountable, because anytime I would see that come up and I wasn't going to do it, it was that I had to come up with an excuse or I had to justify it. But if you're making that commitment, you really want to see the benefit to your business, you have to do it consistently. So try the time blocking option. When you're working on the dashboard, I'm just going to pull down my contact information. I'm going to switch back to Teamzy. I'll pull that back up before we go. When you're working on the dashboard, I recommend that you work it left to right, okay? So while I mentioned that if you're worried about follow-ups or specific follow-ups slipping through the cracks, that you check to see if you have notifications. So when you log in for the day, if you had a follow-up for today, there would be a little tiny, here, you know what? I'm gonna set one. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so when you log into your dashboard, you'll notice there will be a little notification over that follow-ups area. If there's not a notification, you know that you can just dive in with your proactive reach outs, okay? If there are notifications there, do not feel like you have to throw the rest of it to the wind and go after that. I would recommend making a mental note, okay, I have 1, I have 5, I have 30, and then going ahead and time blocking that 20 minutes or the 30 minutes that I mentioned for responses. Make sure that you get intentional about what you're going to do in that time period. I'm going to work those follow-ups during that time period. But other than that, working on the dashboard, work it left to right, one category at a time. Work through the contacts as they come up. I understand the kind of that knee-jerk reaction to try and find the people that we really like to talk to right in the beginning, right? I don't want to talk to that person. I don't want to talk to that person. It's normal. It's this almost like a safety blanket that we're putting on. But the point of this is that you're going to do business differently, that you are going to intentionally try to help everyone. So try and position yourself in that place. Know that following up is an act of love, guys, okay? You're not bothering anyone. You're showing up when you said you would. Ultimately, making those initial connections allow you to establish who wants your help and who doesn't. So every other conversation after that is going to be better, I promise. Just rip the Band-Aid, start reaching out, start figuring out what pool of people you want to connect with, and just get down to it. I think I may have muted everyone again, Chris. Sorry.
I was just going to say that is so true. And you got to rip that Band-Aid off and be a little uncomfortable. You work through it and it's worth it.
Yep. Nobody ever grew from a place of comfort. It's like the worst thing to hear ever, right? Because like everybody loves to be comfortable, and like, but really there's a beautiful, incredible world out there. You guys are involved with an awesome, incredible product and company. Get out there and share that passion. And people will, the right people will put their hands up, and the people that you're not there for, we reintroduce to the market.
Exactly. So good. Thank you so much. And yeah, if we can have your contact information again, Jay, it's been so great you all have been so helpful. People that have needed help, you've been right there. And so thank you. We really, really appreciate that. So thank you everyone for being on the line tonight. We really, really appreciate your time. And I'm looking forward to seeing the results and what's going to happen with the personal growth, yourself, and what's going to happen with your team and all the people that you know and care about that you'll be reaching out to consistently. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.